What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and we got a lot of big stuff here going on here today that you got to know about here. Take a look here and check this stuff out here. The Biden tax proposals that could hit baby boomers, family businesses. Also, you'll see here Republicans use debt ceiling bill to push for work requirements for millions of Americans receiving Medicaid and food stamps. Also, we got veterans sounding the alarm on McCarthy budget cuts. Yeah, Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, leader of the Republicans. The Republicans have just passed the budget, the House budget, and the raising of the debt ceiling in the House only. In the House only. It's unclear if the Senate is going to take it up at all or try to pass it with some changes or what is going to happen with that. I will keep you up to date here with that. But as you can see, the headline here, veterans sound the alarm on McCarthy's budget cuts. Here's what veterans are saying today. Veterans are blasting the debt ceiling legislation passed by Republican-controlled House this week, warning it will cut key programs and services for the nation's retired service members. The House passed the Limit, Save, and Grow Act largely along party lines in a 217 to 215 votes. They only passed it by 2 votes. Wednesday night, despite the Department of Veterans Affairs, also known as the VA, warning of a drastic 22% cut to the department's budget under the bill. Wow, that is a significant cut to the VA. I'll talk about this here in a second. The legislation, which is unlikely to pass in a Democratic controlled Senate, is opposed by President Biden as well, caps all new spending at fiscal 2022 levels, amounting to a $130 billion cut to non defense spending across federal agencies, which would include the VA as well, our veterans. According to a VA press release, that would mean 81,000 jobs lost in the department's health services, 30 million fewer outpatient visits for veterans, and an increase in disability backlogs by 134,000 claims, among a range of other concerns as well. Sarah Strader, the executive director of the nonpartisan group Secure Families Initiative, which represents active duty families but coordinates closely with the VA for client services, said there are already backlogs and wait lists at the VA before these cuts. This would further be exacerbated by the GOP budget proposal. Strader said whether the bill passes or not, the quote, harm is already being done. And the legislation is a huge ding in morale for the military, service members, and veterans. It is becoming politicized in a way that is so counterproductive and discouraging. She said when the U.S. government sends service members to war, it comes with a promise that they'll be taken care of on the other side. Quote, going against that promise is not only wrong, but it does harm the morale of actively serving families. Now, in addition to this, the military budget would be cut as well if the Republican proposal got passed all the way in its entirety with no changes. Remember, it's been passed in the House, but not fully passed in the Senate and signed by the president, because it would send the military budget back to 2022 levels, even going forward into 2024 as well. And this would be a cut. Yeah, so remember, this is with the threat of China, the Russia war, the threat of North Korea. So this would be another cut there across the board as well. And here's the problem. When you go to cut, remember, our country's paying about $1 trillion a year in interest. And I said this before the Republicans even announced their proposal. It's not fun. The money's got to come from somewhere, and a lot of programs are going to be cut, and people aren't going to like it. And this is the problem here. The White House, they had a there was a White House spokesman on earlier, and they said there's going to be funding for schools cut, funding for cancer research cut, funding for all sorts of programs across the board. So, like before all this stuff was announced, they said, "Oh, wasteful spending needs to be cut," and like, yeah, that sounds great, but now when you see the stuff on paper be cut, it's not very fun, right? Yeah, so we're going to see stuff like this all across the board. Let me go into a couple more details here on a couple other things. We'll finish here with the Republican debt ceiling details, and then we'll get to the Biden tax proposals that could hit baby boomers and family businesses here as well. Okay, Republicans use the debt ceiling bill to push for work requirements for millions of Americans receiving Medicaid and food stamps. Again, this is a form of a cut. This will end up saving billions of dollars, probably. I don't know the exact amount, and they probably don't know either until these actual work requirements kick in and millions of Americans actually end up losing the form of Medicaid and food stamps known as SNAP. You can see here House Republicans are using the debt ceiling standoff to advocate for one of their long-standing goals, requiring more low-income Americans to work in order to receive government benefits, particularly food stamps, SNAP, and Medicaid. They see work requirements as a twofer, allowing them to reduce government spending while bolstering the nation's labor force at a time when many businesses are still struggling to staff up. And this is kind of strange, especially with unemployment at or near a 50-year low. But with inflation really high, a lot of people have gone back to work. So you kind of got from both sides there. Still, the controversial policy included in House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's package to increase the debt ceiling is causing some consternation within the Republican conference, with hardliners wanting to include even stricter requirements, and with moderate members in swing districts concerned they could face blowback over the issue. Senate Democrats fiercely opposed these work requirements, along with other components of the bill, but it serves as a starting point for negotiations with the Biden administration over addressing the debt ceiling. And this is the problem because they have a long way to go and a short time to do it, or else default of our country. House GOP lawmakers, including some who grew up in families who depended on public assistance, can lift people out of poverty and end their reliance on the government. This is what they argue. Critics, however, see that mandates as an attempt to shrink vital safety net programs without regard for millions of people who could be left struggling to put food on the table, address that their healthcare needs would be gone as well. Under the package, childless, able-bodied adults ages 18 to 55 could get food stamps only for 3 months out of every 3 years, unless they are employed at least 20 hours a week or meet other criteria. Currently, that mandate applies to those ages 18 to 49, though it has been suspended due to the COVID public health emergency, which expires next month. I think I have to see the bill, and I don't have it in front of me, but they may have changed it to 30 hours a week in the new debt limit bill. Republican Matt Gaetz and his crew wanted to change it to 30, and they had wanted to change it, but I don't know if that wording got in the official bill. I'd have to see the actual bill. But remember, that's all a starting point anyways for the final bill to get passed here, and Democrats hate that anyway, so we'll see. But here's an interesting point here. As House Republicans push for tighter food stamp rules, some states are actually enacting them. Yeah, Kansas passed expanded work requirements this week that make it harder for older residents to qualify for food assistance, part of a growing conservative push to winnow SNAP rolls as the pandemic recedes. Multiple states doing this, actually. Kansas lawmakers voted Thursday largely along party lines to override Democratic Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the bill that puts new limits on state residents enrolled in SNAP. This new law, which takes effect in July, tightens work requirements for older Kansans to keep or qualify for SNAP benefits. It extends the age limits of those legally considered to be able-bodied adults without dependents from 18 to 49 to 18 to 59. That means most food assistance recipients ages 50 to 59 will soon need at least 30 hours per week or attend a mandatory job training to qualify. They said, quote, "We want to help people to be able to get a job, to get employment, the training they need to not only get a job, but to get a better job." This is going on in different states here. A Florida-based organization called Opportunity Solutions Project has helped lead the effort to narrow SNAP eligibility across the U.S., including in Kansas. Last year, the group hired local lobbyist Steve Green, state legislative records show, who provided testimony last month on behalf of OSP in favor of a proposal to disqualify for SNAP benefits parents who don't have physical custody of their children or fall behind on child support. Yeah, they're actually lobbying a think tank that has backed a range of conservative policy efforts across the country, including voter access and child labor. There was an interview with Senator Rick Scott from Florida criticizing Democrats on the issue as, quote, paying people not to work. Yeah, so you can let me know your thoughts on that. Also, you can see here the Biden tax proposals that could hit baby boomers and family businesses. So we're seeing this kind of on both sides of the aisles here. President Joe Biden's budget includes several tax changes that could have significant consequences for small business owners. Among them, higher capital gains rate that could hurt baby boomers looking to sell, a change to step-up basis, which could hit family-owned firms, and an elimination of real estate provision that has made property owners' transactions tax-friendly. High-income individuals are most at risk, according to tax experts, and the small business lobby is fighting the tax proposals, which face tough odds in a divided Congress dealing with the debt ceiling. Of course, we know President Biden has been wanting to tax the wealthy here in multiple different ways, but it's kind of hit a roadblock here recently with the divided Congress here. And he's going to definitely hit a roadblock here with the debt ceiling negotiations. We have not heard hardly anything from Biden here recently on the debt ceiling negotiations. And that's not a good thing because we're basically near the deadline here as May's here. And they're saying we could default as early as June. And there has been no negotiations between Republicans and Democrats at all. And this stuff takes time that we don't have. And, the Republicans passed the bill basically showing us their hand, showing us their cards. And the Democrats have not shown us anything. All they've shown us is that they don't like it and they're just mum. So this is not really good at all. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Please let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments. Yeah, it's a lot of this is crazy here going on here. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here is more details on the major bill that was just passed in Congress. And the U.S. and China are on the brink of war. And that's a direct quote. You can see details of it in this video. Click on one of them next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.